Hello, welcome back to the RC Pilot's Log. My name's Rob. I've just got back from a lovely week-long family holiday on the Isle of Wight, which is a small island just off the coast of the south of England in the county of Hampshire. Most of the Isle of Wight has rugged cliff coastland, and it's brilliant for slope soaring, or so I assumed, having never done it before. But I decided that this holiday I'd take something with me and give it a go. So in the run-up to my holiday, I was umming and ahhing about whether I should buy a purpose-built glider or a slope soarer or a powered glider, just something that I knew was going to work well and to throw off a cliff. But I chose in the end to modify this kind of foam board based aeroplane that was donated to me for my son to use. Now, as a powered plane, this wasn't very good and it was difficult to control and a bit too light. But actually, with a bit of modification, it's turned into a really good slope soarer, as you'll see. So the nose was cut off flush with the firewall, and I built this foam board extension here to give it a more aerodynamic look, but also give me somewhere to house the battery and lots of range for the CG, which actually, as you'll see in the video, was really needed. Very simple construction. The wing is held on with bands, one of which has already broken off. But I've reinforced the leading edge of the wing with a strip of balsa to stop the bands digging in, and added a little stud there to lock into the fuselage to stop the wing, give it a bit more of a location. It's a single servo onto a pull rod, torque rod system, which for a powered plane it's not really ideal, but seemed to work very well on this as a soarer. And you can see there's just very, very simple construction. This is not an expensive model, and I hope actually this video shows that actually you don't need an expensive carbon fibre glider to have some fun on a cliff, and actually a cheap model like this is a good way of throwing something off and being a bit more confident with what might happen. And actually now I've just been donated this rather large vintage looking glider with an 8-foot wingspan, which I'm going to turn into a slope soarer, and I think that's going to be fantastic. But here's some of the footage of my flying, and I hope you enjoy it, and I'll narrate a bit as I go along. We arrived in this beautiful location. The weather was really bad, raining, and wind was gusting up to 70 miles an hour and clearly unflyable. Fortunately, the next day the rain had gone, the clouds had broken, and the wind had calmed down to sort of 20 to 25 miles per hour. So I thought I'd give it a good chuck off the cliff and see what happened. Clearly the plane was very unbalanced, very tail heavy, and just made no progress in the wind and was thrown around all over the place. The kids enjoyed watching it cascade down into a bush, and I made some adjustments to the CG and was able to have a little bit better flight performance, but still, as you can see, very unmanageable and unflyable, and it was all I could do to actually just bring it down without too much damage. So after moving the CG, a couple of launch attempts failed and needed to retrim it, but eventually was able to give it a good shove and get it out over the cliff edge, and instantly it hits this ridge lift and shot up into the air, which was really encouraging to see. From this point I'm just holding onto the sticks, trying to keep it level and keep it up in the air. Started to get a bit more comfortable after a few minutes of flying and able to kind of traverse the cliff a little bit. Inadvertently ended up in a loop there, right behind the ridge and into kind of the turbulence and down onto the grass again, but it's all smiles, we can fly again. And another strong launch, again not quite making the headway into the wind that I'd expect, not being able to quite get out onto the lift, so a little tweak of the CG, moving the battery slightly further forward for the next couple of flights. but it's beautiful weather, a really nice location. One of the tricks here that I was trying to get to grips with is landing in these high wind conditions and having to loop back around to the rear side of the cliff and into the turbulent air in order to bring it down. But with these high winds, I was getting just as much lift from the wind over the top of the cliff as I was getting the ridge lift over the ridge. So really a case of just kind of pointing the nose down and trying to bring it down as gently as possible. And this last launch was probably my best of the session. The plane was well balanced, well trimmed out. The conditions had calmed slightly, and you can see there, just as it gets over the edge, the lift and the plane just elevates into the sky. Really fortunate to have this location just behind the cottage we were staying in, and literally walk out the back door and 10 meters away you're in this condition. Really smooth, lovely air, and I don't know anything about soaring and ridge lift or anything of the such, but this to me looks and felt lovely and smooth. Very nice and really enjoyable. So I'm looking forward to finishing, getting another glider in the works, getting a model finished and experimenting some more with some local locations. Thanks for watching, happy flying, and see you soon.